Welcome friends. Today we are discussing about graphotherapy, graphology and graphotherapy. Graphology, also known as a graphoanalysis, it is a process that used by someone to attempt to determine personality traits and a detail about a person based off their graphology is a blend of art and science, how the person write their handwriting. On page of that we can find out few characteristics of person behavior. It is a science because it is a measure the structure and movement of the written form, slant, angle and spacing, which are accurately calculated, and then the pressure is also observed in a magnification and with a precision. And it is an art because the graphologist has constantly keep in the mind the total context in which the writing was to take place. As per Gestalt theory, the writing will be considered as a whole. Writing consists of three things: movement, spacing, and form. A graphologist studies this variation as they occur in each of these aspects of writing and attach the psychological interpretation for them. Expert graphologists can achieve a very high degree of accuracy. In a graphology, we can say graphology considered as a macro graphology. Macro in terms of we have to see the sign of the page as a whole. Entire page we have to analyze. A graphologist has to look overall writing in a page, structural features, zone of the writing, angle of the writing, size of the writing, pressure of the writing, margin in a writing, and spacing between the letters. In micrographology, micro is to see the sign of how the written was written. It is an analysis of individual letter writing, loop size compared to the letter size, angle or slant of individual letters, variation in pressure in the individual letters, margin with other letters, spacing between the letters and the lines. Capital letter L. When we use the capital letter, as we know, when something importance or in a starting of the sentence we are using a capital letter. Normally capital letter are used very rarely in a paragraph. Capital letter represent the starting energy, enthusiasm, and something new initiative. That's why the characteristics or graphoanalysis of second letter or capital letter both are different. When you starting something new in a life, business or job, or something new in a life, like a person start his own life with a new partner, yeah, new business, then only capital letter is come in a sentence. Starting energy not found normally in a life. Only when somebody is creating something new, yeah, at the initiate stage, capital letter are used, and that's why analysis of capital letter and second letter are different. We will discuss in detail about this each individual capital letter, what is the characteristics and how we person was writing a capital letter. It's supposed to be measure and check. Even though after written the capital letter, analysis can be a different. So in a graphology, we suggest that when you check a graphology of capital letter, a regular writing, if someone wants an analysis of capital letter, it is the base suggested in front of a graphologist person should be right, because here's the starting point and ending point is very critical, and the loop, yeah, variation is very important. That's why graphology of a capital letter and graphology of second letter is a totally different. It represent by capital letter followed by small letter. Capital letters represent by a small letter. Capital letter represent starting energy not found in a normal life. It is represented by capital letter followed by a small letter. So we have capital letter showing the spark or initiating followed by a regular energy of daily life. Capital letter have mostly upper zone and middle zone, whereas the second letter ABCD has a many times upper zone also, mostly the middle zone, and few of the letters has a lower zone also. Upper zones present the future tense and middle zone represent the present tense. Letter A represent the thoughts at home. Capital letter represent the starting energy, enthusiasm, and something new initiative. And we have a video for capital letter of A dedicatedly. We provide a link in a description and in the I button. Capital letter B represent thoughts about self. Again, a capital letter represent by starting energy, enthusiasm, and something new initiative. And hence, a detailed video of capital letter B also attached in a description. Capital letter C give a thoughts for the social environments, how the person behave, and what is his thought process when starting use as a starting letter. Very few letters are used as a capital letter C, and again a capital letter represent the starting energy, enthusiasm, and something new in initiative. Just now you have to think what is the term or what is the condition when first letter was a C used as a capital letter. Capital letter D, it's a thoughts for food energy. Again, we have to find out the situation या words या letters when we use a capital letter D as a starting of a sentence, and capital letter represent for starting energy, enthusiasm, and something new initiative in a situation where capital letter D is a come as a starting point. Capital letter E is a thoughts for cultural thinking. Again, a capital letter represent by starting energy, enthusiasm, and something new initiative. Now think about a situation where capital letter E was a come capital letter E come as a starting of a sentence या paragraph. Letter F, capital letter F is a thoughts and times. And now we have to consider a situation where letter F will become as a starting in a paragraph या starting in a sentence. And again it is a situation where capital letter represents the starting energy, enthusiasm, and something new initiative. In a letter G, thoughts is a finance at home. And now think a situation where in a paragraph या in a sentence a letter G was used as a capital letter, and as we know capital letter represent for starting energy, enthusiasm, and something new initiative. Here also now we have to think a situation where capital letter supposed to be used as a initiating letter or a starting of a paragraph. Letter H relate to the thoughts, relation with others, or creativity. And as we know capital letter represent for starting energy, enthusiasm, and something new initiative. Think about a situation where capital letter H was used as as the first letter of a line or sentence. Letter I represent the thoughts or spontaneous thinking. And now we have to think a situation when we use a letter I as a first letter for the sentence or a paragraph. And of course the situation where the starting energy, enthusiasm, or something new initiative was started through a sentence or paragraph. Letter J give a thoughts about self and money. And again we have to think about a situation where letter J was used as a first letter of paragraph या line. And now we have to think about the situation where starting energy, enthusiasm, or something new is required as an initiative energy. Letter K, in a letter K it represents the thoughts for institutive creativity. And capital letter K, which now use in a letter in a sentence or in a paragraph as a starting letter. And now we have to think about the situation where it's shown the starting energy, enthusiasm, or something new initiative. Letter L's give a thoughts about activated thoughts. And think about a situation where letter L start a sentence or paragraph to represent a starting energy, enthusiasm, or something new initiative. I have prepare a video for each individual letter and explain in detail, but in I button and in a description I will share all the detail about it. Letter M and N, it represent the thoughts about habit and action. And think about a situation where letter M or N is a use as a first letter for the sentence or a paragraph, and a situation where it is used for represent starting energy, enthusiasm, and something new initiative. Letter O represent the thoughts or completeness of the thoughts. And now think about a situation where letter O is a use to represent a starting energy, enthusiasm, or something new initiative. to be described in a sentence or in a paragraph. Letter P, it give a thoughts about internal body health. And now think about a situation where person use a letter P as a starting word, a starting letter for a line or paragraph, and a situation where it is used for represent starting energy, enthusiasm, or something new initiative. Letter Q represent the thoughts, a rare physical angers. And now think, very few cases the letter Q use as a capital letter like a question, yeah, many another situation. But now think a situation where a writer use letter Q as a capital letter or a first letter for the sentence or in a paragraph, and the situation where it represents starting energy, enthusiasm, or something new initiative to be described. Letter R, letter R represents a thought about creativity. And again we have to think of a situation where letter R used as a first word of line or a paragraph, and it describe a situation where it represents a starting energy, enthusiasm, and something new. And I again emphasize that capital letter graphotherapy, yeah, graphology, and the second letter graphology was a totally different, because here it represents a starting energy, enthusiasm, or something new initiative, which is not a routine activity. Second letter represent a routine activity, but capital letter represent by a starting energy, enthusiasm, or something new initiative which is started and then followed by a second letter. Letter S represents thoughts or manifestations, and capital letter S. Now think about a situation where capital letter S used as a starting energy, enthusiasm, or something new initiative. What is the sentence or paragraph when we require letter S as a first letter or a capital letter? Letter T represent thoughts, ego, or goal. And think about a situation where a writer use a letter T as a first letter of a line or a paragraph, and a situation describe a starting energy, enthusiasm, or something new initiative. And letter V represent sudden thoughts change, and very few words in a normal conversation where letter V required in a capital form. But now think about a situation where in a paragraph or in a sentence we need to write letter V as a capital, yeah, starting point. And think about a situation description where it is used to represent a starting energy, enthusiasm, or something new initiative. Letter W represent habitual learning from the experience, and capital letter represents by starting energy, enthusiasm, and something new in a something new initiative. And now many question form like a what, when, why, where, whom are a sentence where we required capital letter W as a starting letter, or a starting letter for line or a paragraph or any question. Think about a situation. I have explained each word in detail and also describe with a chakra energy what is a thought process, what energy is supposed to be used. Letter X represents a change in a thoughts. And again, I think a situation, because letter X is a very rarely come in a writing as a capital letter, very few word. And now think a situation where to describe a condition we need to use letter X as a first word of line or paragraph, and it represent a situation of a starting energy, enthusiasm, or something new initiative. Letter Y represent thoughts about the money and physical energy in a social life. And now think about a situation. Many times letter Y used as a first word, a capital letter for initiating of a starting energy or even a paragraph, and that describe a situation of starting energy, enthusiasm, and something new initiative. Letter Z represent a practical understanding of harmony, a thought about a practical. Again, very few words, few lines, yeah, few situation where person use a letter Z as a first word in a sentence or in a paragraph. And think about a situation where it is describe a starting energy, enthusiasm, and something new initiative. Thank you very much. I have described this each letter in detail videos, and you will find the description in a detail, and you can understand in detail about all this letter, what is the meaning and how the letter was written. It's also affect the grapho analysis of each letter. So I suggest that you please watch the I button or a detail description, and you will be find a detail about each individual word. And normally it is suggested that capital letter supposed to be not connect with other letters, because it represents the starting energy, where other letter will show a routine energy. So as per grapho analysis science, it suggested that capital letter supposed to be always away, yeah, disconnected from the other letter writing. Thank you very much.